Welcome to the Nehemiah Business Lifecycle Podcast. I'm your host, Patrice Tsague. I'm here with a very familiar guest, Susan Schramm, our board chair. Also, Susan will be speaking for us this year and emceeing with me again this year at our Nehemiah Business Summit. By the way, if you've not yet registered, you want to do that today. Make sure you register so you can take advantage of the early bird special. The summit will be August 3 days, August the 13th, I'm sorry, August the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So, August the 12th, we have our Kingdom Business Forum, where we'll highlight entrepreneurs from Mexico, from Malaysia, and from Kenya, and then from the US. That will be fun. We take kind of tour her now, emceeing that together. And then on the next day, on the 13th, we'll be highlighting, it'll be our conference where it'll be an opportunity for you to learn about our theme. This year, the theme is Kairos. And what's awesome about this theme is that at a time like this, where AI is accelerating progress, right? And the big question is, how do we discern God's time, God's will, versus technology and all this momentum that's happening? And so it's called the call to leadership, because we believe that now is the time for us to respond, whether it's at your local community, within your company, within your church, within your political system, within your country. Now is the time for us to respond to what God has in store for us in this moment in time. And then on Friday, we'll be focused on our international business plan competition. This year, competing would be an entrepreneur from Bulgaria, an entrepreneur from Kenya, and then one from the US survey, and possibly Cameroon. The Cameroon competitor is not well, so we'll hopefully still recover. But if now you have those three competitors, so join us again. Register today if you're not yet registered. August the 12th, 13th, and 14th. There's a link there. You can just click that link and take advantage. Join us. Well, Susan, I'm not. You had this before, so you wrote it. This book got released this year. It's called Fast Track Your Big Idea: Navigating Risk, Move People to Action, and Avoid Your Strategy Going Off Course. This book, by the way, has been highlighted in Kenya, in Malaysia, and of course here in the United States. And hopefully next year we'll see, maybe even Mexico next year. Will you have a Spanish version by then?
Oh, I hope to have an
I
audio.
know Anna Maria, if she has her way, you'll have that.
Right.
You'll have an audiobook by then for sure,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right, this is a great book. And so if you're not yet gotten your copy of this book, you want to go to Amazon and get your copy. Susan, welcome. And so, Susan, this year you are emceeing as an author. That's kind of, how does that feel, by the way, to be welcome to the world of authors?
Well, you are an author of mass proportion, and so it's very humbling to be among the world of authors. The one thing that writing a book does that I think I underestimated was that it forces you to clarify what you actually believe. I mean, you can speak, you can blog, you can do things, but writing a cohesive book that actually equips people to take action and more confidently lead was what I ended up taking on. And I think it just forces you to think through, do I really believe this? And as a benefit of it, I think it caused me to reflect myself on my own relationship with risk, because the book really does challenge people to consider their unique approach to risk and the people they work with, and how risk is part of everything we do, but how do we move forward, which really does relate to the world of leadership in this Kairos moment, doesn't it?
It does, and we'll get to that. I want to talk about the book for a little before we get to that, because I want to come to lay the foundation. For those who don't know Susan, and this is from her book, because oftentimes I wanted to get a sense of who we're dealing with here. She'll be a speaker for us this year at the summit, as well as emceeing. A trusted advisor to Fortune 500 leaders, entrepreneurs, and nonprofit innovators. She knows what it takes for bold ideas to succeed, why so many get around. She found the go-to-market impact after decades leading high-stakes strategies, new ventures, and partnership with Fortune 500 companies and nonprofits, small businesses, and startups, recognizing that many leaders underestimate the people side of risk. I love that statement. She developed the de-risk system for impact to align teams, teams earlier, reframe risk smarter, and deliver results faster. Known for practical insight, real-world experience, and contagious energy, she does have that. Susan equips CEOs, boards, and rising leaders to drive momentum and avoid costly missteps, fueled by her faith, family, and the bottomless cup of coffee. She's committed to giving bold, world changing ideas the chance that they need to succeed. Susan, two questions. First, um, I'm thinking about, now we got AI. When you were out there in the tech world in the Fortune 500 company, did you, do you guys see this coming? What we facing now with AI?
Yes,
Back,
in the sense that we saw, I mean, I can remember the first time we were using databases and search,
yes.
right? And we were using programming that was simpler and simpler. And I spent decades working on how to take a process and make it more efficient. The difference with AI is that it's more available to all of us. It isn't
Yeah.
something that the back techies are only able to do. And you had that delay of feedback where you'd write a spec and then it would be defined and then it'd come back like, that's not what I wanted to do. Now we get this very,
Real
very real
time.
time feedback and it helps you think, right? So much of the AI used for clarifying ideas is really helping people get clear on their point of view or things they hadn't considered about the problem they're trying to solve. What's different now with agentic AI is this idea that you're going to have essentially, without having to program, you're going to be able to have it do it on your behalf. So we always dreamed about a world with what we called a codeless programming that would allow you not to have to be that nerd in the basement doing all the work. What I think we didn't really talk too much about was the ethical implications of it and the
Ah,
fact that the code at that point didn't have grounding. Um,
mm,
when you do it slower, you're more likely to at least explore those kind of things. But the faster nature of AI means that if it doesn't have very good moral grounding, or if there's a lot of chaos being accelerated with AI, you really, the human side to guide it, to monitor it, to create results is never been more important. Um, we never were worried that humans would go away, to be honest. There was always something that needed to be improved, and I'm still not concerned about that. I am concerned that people don't think through the people side of risk of executing change. And I think that if there's anything that's going to slow down the promise of AI, it's the people underestimate the
mm.
intersection between the AI and the people.
So, in a sense, with AI, risk is heightened, right? Because the speed
Accelerated, right? Risk
accelerate. Yeah,
can be right. It can be managed.
yeah,
But when you take a risk and leverage AI as part of your solution,
yeah,
you are essentially stepping out faster than you might have otherwise.
yeah.
The great news is it can go faster. The bad news is it can go
It
faster.
can go faster.
Right.
So, as I just read here about you, when you think about this book, leadership, what about your experience most prepared you for this? When you look at all the, what's the one thing you can pull? Say, you know what, this most prepared me for this moment, for this Kairos moment,
For this Kairos moment
in
with
terms of time where we are,
my
you as a
chapters,
leader, yeah, your book, all this stuff. What's the one thread?
starting things.
Mm,
Throughout I was just telling my parents, remember when I started that, I was always starting new things, whether it was a lemonade stand or whether it was a new yearbook, anything I did, it was always like, let's start this. And they teased me because we had so many projects half started everywhere, right?
ah,
And it was a great lesson for me because then I got into business and nonprofits and everybody wanted to launch things. But the difference between the ones that sustained and not was what
mm,
really sort of became my core call to action. I truthfully felt like my call has to do with helping people not just have ideas, but actually execute ones that will sustain the benefit of their ideas. And having had a plenty of chances starting things, the ones that sustained were a different lesson. And that's what got me to this point. And I think,
That is so good.
truthfully, leaders are not leaders without context. And
Yeah.
whether you're leading a family or you're leading a neighborhood initiative or you're leading a church or you're leading in your company, or in all those scenarios, you are seeing something that's possible and trying to clarify how to step forward. And that is a risk. And I think in many cases, that idea of risk taking for groups of people, not just you jumping off a cliff, but when you're trying to move people to action with you, then you just have to acknowledge you have a responsibility as a leader to talk about risk, to acknowledge everybody else's needs. And not to get frozen by it, to take action, but at that point to acknowledge this is a journey together and everybody has to come with you or it'll get stuck. So that's why I'm here.
I love
That's
it.
why I'm called.
Again, talking to Susan, she'll be emceeing with me for one of the days for our summit as well. She'll also be speaking during the summit. We're talking about de-risking leadership, and she wrote this book that we're kind of picking from. Susan, what I want to do now, I want to look at this back here, because this is the most important reader in the book, because it has the most goodies. And the reason being, as you know, is that you want this to be what causes folks to want to pick up, right? This actually has the best use of real estate than even the book itself. Because if they don't pick it up from this, they will never open the book up. So
Right.
so let me just share. I want to hear Susan thoughts on this. You have a big idea. You want to make it a reality fast, but progress feels slow, even with AI. And the stakes are high. Where do you start? You're in the right place. This practical guide will help you in this book right here. So launch a strategy that sticks, increase lasting impact, mobilize people to take action right from the start, avoid common mistakes that derail momentum and drain trust. Ooh, that's powerful. Lead with confidence despite the uncertainty. Learn how to reframe risk, especially the people side of risk to your advantage. Discover the often missed fundamentals, concept, tools, and mindset. You need to get people aligned and ready to accelerate results together. Whether you're a CEO, board member, program manager, tasked with delivering a high stake initiative, you'll find actionable tools to get people on the same page moving faster. No matter your role or size or stage of your organization, this no nonsense guide will help you navigate change, drive momentum in a fast moving competitive environment. Whether you're just starting, hitting obstacles, or working to get back on track, this book offers a practical roadmap to steer efforts and accelerate results. And here's some of the topics covered there. I just want to give you a sense so that you can know why you got to pick this book up. Even as you
Thank you.
prepare for this upcoming summit, it's a great precursor, right? We're talking about digital leadership. So she started with section 1, are you ready? I like the section 2, creating your accelerated advantage. Section 3, getting geared, de-risking your strategy for impact. Section 4, overdrive, aligning for maximum traction. Section 4, section 5, turbocharge, communicating to inspire. Section 6, shifting gears, adapting to propel result. And here's a conclusion there called Fast Track Your Strategy Today. Susan, great book. So question. So people watching and listening, they're saying, hey, I want to de-risk as a leader. I want to de-risk. So what would you say would be the key outcome if they get this book? What's the one thing that this can help them do?
They'd have a language and a framework to talk about risk with people
Mm,
that they need to take action. That is the primary thing that's often missing, is that you're going to take this big thing on and everybody says different stages of confidence in it. And yet you need all of them to take action with you. Often we don't have a language to talk about it that doesn't feel like an attack, or you
mm,
don't have to be defensive, or like someone's being Pollyanna or Debbie Downer. right? You have all those challenges, but when you can use a common approach, a system, to talk about the fundamentals of what's going to need to happen and where the risks might be, it diffuses the tension and allows people to be a little more objective, and it allows them to start creating a muscle that they can then use as they have to adapt ongoing. Risk is going to be part of every initiative, and you're going to start, and immediately it's going to be a little different than you thought. But that idea that from the beginning, or even when you're turning it back around, that you have an objective language that allows everybody's voice to be heard is a really helpful tool to include in your tool chest.
I love it. As you're talking right now, as you know, we've setting up this Asia board and this Africa board. I think once we finish going through the book of Nehemiah, I'm going to have us go through this together.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So that each board meeting, in lieu of it, for devotional time, we'll kind of do, and we just kind of, so that each of us are walking through this, so that it gives us kind of this common framework and language, and we discuss, because this idea of regional division, it's embedded with a lot of risk, and we're bringing people.
Anytime an organization tries to expand beyond the founder, right?
Yeah.
That moment where it goes from my brain to getting other people to be part of it, right there is, whether it's confusion or it's skepticism or it's someone just not aligned. Yeah, we all say go, but we're doing it differently. These are opportunities to step back and think. And truthfully, it doesn't have to slow you down. It actually can speed things up, because once you've done some of these fundamentals, you start to be able to say, oh yeah, shift, adjust together. So, the funny part about what?
Yeah, go ahead.
And the funny part about this is it sounds like it's so corporate and heavy, but I had people were in a lot of a workshop the other day, and the person leading, participating, stopped talking about the business topic and said, my family and I are trying to build a house, and we got to use this for this building a house together because we have different goals. So,
that is so incredibly awesome. I'm learning that I'm going to call it the book club. Book clubs within an organization or group is so powerful, right? We do that with our couples in business. We literally each year go through a book. I'm doing that right now with our staff development team, where we pick a book on fundraising and we go through that together. It's one of the most powerful ways to bring a group to the same page, having the same script, and it's cheaper than bringing on a high-level speaker consultant, because you literally facilitate the book and you guys are now interpreting what does that look like. It's a great low, kind of low barrier entry process as a leader. If you're trying to de-risk your team, pick a book up like this, and then make it part of your retreats or your staff. Just take a chapter at a time and just kind of go through it, and that allows you guys to own that content. Would you agree with that, Susan? Whether it's this book, any other book?
Yeah, in fact, if you go to fasttrackyourBigIdea.com, you'll see the website for the book, and you'll there is, if you step down there, there's a discussion guide, and I started doing coffee and big ideas sessions based on helping people clarify their big ideas. But I totally agree. Just the idea that people can kick these ideas around and have something as inspiring. They're not just, there's something that grounds them when you use the book model, because everybody's at least learning together, but they're coming at it with their own perspectives.
Yeah. And that's the way to make sure that your entire team is reading a book. I think every healthy team should be reading several books a year. And leaders, one of the good ways to de-risk yourself is to read and acquire content. Talking to Susan Schramm, she will be one of the MCs for the upcoming summit. If you're not yet registered, you want to do that right now. Go to nehemiahbusinesssummit.com, or actually 2026 businesssummit.com. You can go there. It'll be on August the 12th, 13th through 14th, and she'll also be speaking at the conference, and we'll have an international business brain competition. So, de-risking leadership. So let's talk about this. So we are in an age of incredible acceleration of both information and just ideas in general, right? good or bad is irrelevant. Just in age of speed, and no one wants to be left behind, because if you're not incorporating AI, you're left behind, for either because you know how to do it or because of fear. Everybody's jumping on board. So, Susan, speak to us about this idea as a leader, trying to de-risk what I do in the context of a moment like this.
Well, it's interesting because my topic that I'm going to be speaking about is the leaders who changed history almost said no.
Mm.
And so there's these moments where you're called to step in when you're really not sure exactly what you're going to do. But you definitely, whether it was Moses or Esther or Nehemiah, they all had a call that was real, that said this is a consequential moment where I need to step up and lead. And most of us, I think, today see an environment where there is a lack of people are hungry for leaders. They're hungry for leadership. And it's not all about AI. It is about real world problems that are very complex and hard to solve. And when you bring it down to your own world, the trade-offs and the consequences seem huge. And the fascinating thing at that moment is it's not that you're eliminating risk, it's that you're a steward of it. That's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to do. And that idea of being a steward of risk, I think, it starts with a faith that says, I'm here, I'm created by God to be here at this moment. I have only so much that I can control and a lot that God's going to control. And this idea of where in this conversation do I need to do my part? And what is the part that I'm going to give to God, right? And that, I think, so many times we, I don't know, especially with technical issues, I'm going to jump in and do all this stuff by myself. Like, where's God in the middle of this conversation? Where's the moral grounding? Where's the human in these decisions, so that you're making good judgments about the human aspect of the outcomes you're creating, as well as the technical? Where, even in the political environment, where am I showing up grounded in my values, so that even if I take a step forward, I know I can sustain it, and I'm not way ahead of the values that I believe in. So you don't need perfect information, but you do definitely have to have an approach to evaluating risk in a way that is thoughtful, that you clarify your assumptions, that you clarify where it is that you're going to, who it is that you're going to impact, and who you need to bring along to take what action. So I think today's world can sometimes be so overwhelming that everybody just is busy and jumps in. But the really big choices we make are actually ones that we're going to have to be thoughtful about. So that's sort of where I'm asking people to take a moment and consider the risk from their own balanced approach.
Wow. The statement you made that historical leaders, most of them almost said no. Part of that is risk.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
The minute you say yes, right, you're responsible, you're accountable. You could lose something, your life, reputation. Even we just celebrated 250 years of the founding of the United States of America. I'm a history junkie. As I've been watching this historical, documentaries, these men who got together and signing this document, they were risking. I mean, it was treason for them.
They knew they were actually, what does he says? Well, I mean, they bet their lives.
Yeah. It's just incredible. So what you're saying then, but you, Russ, I want you to elaborate a little bit more on, because I think this year's Kairos. So it seems like, as a leader, as I'm stepping up, one of the best ways to de-risk my action is make sure I am being led, I am called by a higher power, I'm granted. So the idea of Kairos is that it's not a timing that I've chosen, but rather I'm responding to this higher call. Could you kind of break that down a little bit? Because I mean, that's the key to, as you say, stewarding the risk.
The one question that I'm always encouraging people to start with is, what problem am I solving?
Mm,
Because sometimes you're not to solve it all, right?
that's good.
And the
You shouldn't be a
stress,
solution looking for a problem.
right. Or when you think about the problem, it's so big, it's
Yeah.
so momentous that you take on too much, actually.
Mm,
And to the extent that people can clarify the problem they're going to be solved and the consequence if they don't solve it, and the benefit of solving it over time, what it does is um, it helps you recognize, where is God in this? Right
mm,
there. What problem am I solving, and where is God in this? And it may be that he's asking you to step into something that only he has the bigger plan. You're only going to see so far.
mm.
And so to calm down and clarify that. And then the next question is, who has to take action for this to be successful? Because a lot of times you make so many assumptions that people will jump in with you. But if you aren't clear of who's going to come along with you, they too, where's God in that? To bring recognize that sometimes you're going to tap people who themselves are taking risks to work with you. And if it's a movement you're trying to start, or it's a business, that you are actually inviting others by working with you. They have different risk profiles. They may be trading off time, talent, treasure, reputation to do this with you. And just acknowledge that at this point in time, if you can talk openly about where everybody's coming from, and then choose what is the best next step to move towards solving that problem, it's a great grounding rod. And then give the part that's God to God.
I love it. So with that, what's one big idea they might walk away with from your talk at the summit when you begin? It really, it's a question. I mean, well, you make this declaration. The historical leaders almost said no. What are you trying to take us there?
Yeah.
What's one thing I can walk away with?
Well, that leadership isn't about having all the information. It isn't about
Okay.
having all the answers. It's
Mm,
about recognizing when you have enough information to take the next step, recognizing that you're stewarding the risk with God, that you're hand in hand with God to take these steps. Great leaders are comfortable openly talking about the risks and recognizing what's their part and what part that they're going to lean on God for.
oh, that's good. What I'm also hearing, as I'm hearing you say that, Susan, is this idea that it's okay for me to hesitate and to feel like I may not want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I'm not a coward. I'm not, great leaders almost said no. So that, and that idea also suggests acknowledge the risk involved in this decision.
Yeah.
Courage is not ignoring the risk.
Right. Exactly. And great environments that you create where people can openly acknowledge the risk they feel, and then be in a position to say, what would it take? What would happen if that happened? Will I live through it? How could I survive that? It allows the brain to calm down. It allows people to be um, openly willing to say, here's where I fear, here's where I have confusion. And you're actually, I think sometimes when you're, oh my gosh, I'm being tapped to run this new initiative, or I'm being tapped to, I know God's calling me to start a new church, or whatever the topic is. At that point, don't think about it 10 years ahead. Think about, what will the next year look like, and who would I have to get involved, and be comfortable that God will walk with you through it. And you can absolutely give him his part of the assignment.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. That's a
And
good
I think
idea. I like
sometimes
the idea of delegating to God.
delegating
Give
to
me a
God.
lot of comfort.
Exactly.
I like
Exactly.
that. Delegate to God. So, what about those who say, but Susan, as a leader, whenever I give permission for my team to talk about the risk, or the problems,
Right.
it can spiral into this thing where it can kind of suck in the enthusiasm. It can become negative. How do I manage that? How do I allow risk to be discussed without creating um, this fear?
Right.
I don't. How do I manage that?
Really good point. And I think there are two ways to approach risk, which is a disciplined, structured approach, which I lay out an approach to, and this frenzy, this, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, Chicken Little, everything's going to fall apart, right? I
Mm,
will say that if you have people on your team who, or that you're trying to enlist, who you don't allow to talk about risk, it's still in their brain. It's still swirling around. And if you need them to take action, it will delay their taking action with you.
oh wow.
So, so the question becomes, and by the way, God designed us this way. We're designed with fight or flight. And if I see that we're about to drive into a wall, I will be worried for you, even if I'm not joining you, right? So the
Mm,
idea of openly being able to say, what are the risks is part of creating a calm environment. But I will say, letting people understand, what if that happened? What would the consequences be? And how could we mitigate them? Right? Giving people structure to think through, what are the consequences? How can we mitigate them? What would be the best next step? Right? Just those kind of structured ways to allow people to openly talk about it. Sometimes there's scenarios of talking about, is this an immediate risk, existential risk, meaning the whole world will blow up? Is someone going to die? Are we going to lose everything we own? Or is it a risk of something smaller that we've made into something bigger? One of the things I notice with CEOs and founders is that there's a tendency to always want to be Pollyanna and always talk about how things are great. It's great. Everything's great. And as an investor or a follower, whether you're a donor, an investor, or an employee, it actually is very credible and very calming if a leader says, let's talk about the biggest risks and how we're going to plan for them.
that is
Just
so good.
just bringing that up actually helps them know that you know that there is a problem, there's possibilities that we need to plan for. And just that calming nature says, here's the three I've identified and the issues I think we need to plan for. What have I not seen? That
Mm,
humility invites other people's to weigh in and share things that they might be concerned about. Because if they don't have that opportunity and are shut down the road, that will come back and they will just not be able, they'll hesitate to take action.
wow. So make it okay to talk about the elephant in the
In the
room.
room.
Right? Because whether they talk about it or not is getting everybody's attention.
Right. And whether they talk about in the room or whether they talk about down the hall,
Down the hall.
or whether they don't talk to you about it, but they disengage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Silent,
yeah,
um, you know, our keynote speaker, Bill
yeah,
Yeager,
yeah, yeah,
he's,
yeah, yeah,
he has a phrase called silent liars. What I just love
yeah,
that phrase. He
yeah.
said, don't
Bill
allow
Yurgen.
Virgin. Don't
Yeah.
allow people to be silent liars, being in the
Mm,
room, looking good, and then walk out and never having agreed with you. Create an atmosphere where people can openly talk about it, recognizing that at some point you need to make a decision. And you can even set that up, said, we're making a decision today. And these topics, we're going to have something we're going to have to monitor. We're going to have more information. There's a lot of things can be done besides just saying it is or isn't a risk, right? But the benefit to you as a leader of helping people create an environment where they can openly share what they're thinking allows you to align faster, allows people to be more genuine. And and truthfully, I think, I don't know if Moses actually, he did say to God, but I can't talk, I can't do
that's
this,
right. That's
right?
right. Yeah.
And he did need guidance, right?
Hmm.
There's people who need stewards to help you steward risk. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
Oh, that is so good. So before I let you go, I do have one more question for you. Why should those watching and listening to us, why should they join us at the summit?
Oh my gosh. I think this is my 6th year that I'll be attending. And I
Yeah.
will say that it is a very immediate reframe, perfect for the middle of the year, to help you reframe what you're doing in context of a much bigger God-led plan. The first day we tour faith-driven entrepreneurs who are sitting there with they're biblical entrepreneurs who wake up every day knowing that they're not only serving their business, but they're also serving God. And you get to meet these people and get to have a feeling for where they are and how they're accomplishing their business. And it's very inspirational. And they're honest. They talk about what's hard. And so that first day is like getting a quick shot of masterminding with people from all over the world. And then the next day is learning and a 1-day punch of great new ideas to just give you a new reframe for your planning and for the areas where you're worried about. Some of the things I walked away with over the years is that was an idea I might have had, but I never put it into words. People do a good job of framing things, especially with the balance of faith and work. And then the third day is a business plan competition where you're actually getting the benefit of seeing all these other new startups talking about their business and or new plans. And I think you get ideas for your own business and you get a global perspective. I didn't have just one idea, but I think you walk away with new, fresh insights that you can't afford not to do at this time of the year.
Oh, that is so awesome, Susan. Thank you. Listen, guys, join us at the Nehemiah Summit 2026 from August the 12th through the 14th. Is the Kairos, a call to leadership. This is a gathering for Christian entrepreneurs and kingdom business leaders. Susan and I will be there, and there'll be so many other people. You want to sign up today. Go to 2026.nehemiahbusinesssummit.com. 2026.nehemiahbusinesssummit.com, and there you can sign up and register and join us for all 3 days. Susan, don't you leave yet, because I got one more question to ask you. But before we do that, if you enjoyed this podcast, I want you to do me one favor. I want you to share it. Friends share with friends that which inspires them, encourage them, that which they enjoy. Right? Don't be selfish. Don't hold to yourself. Share it. Share it on your social media platform. Private chat with other people. Share it so that others might be able to enjoy this information. I know you know somebody who is risk adverse or too too excited about risk, that needs some balance, or that just need to be encouraged and inspired by this talk. Share it with them, that it may encourage them who don't realize that. Don't realize that in the kingdom there are practical approaches to navigating risk. As soon as we're talking, I thought, there was risk in the garden. So it's not about eliminating risk. This is pre-sin. This is pre-sin, but it's about managing it. Right. So send it somebody who has a big idea or who God has called to do something great, and who you say, you know what, this will encourage. I thought about you today, and I think this will encourage you. Also, if you want to know more about Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community, how we help entrepreneurs around the world, how we can help you to navigate what you're going through, whether it's launching your business, growing a business, or exiting from a business, whatever that might be. We call it from discovery to succession. Go to our website, nehemiahecommunity.com, nehemiahecommunity.com. There you'll learn about our training program, whether it's biblical entrepreneurship, serve with love, or identity and destiny. You also learn about our coaching program, whether it's one-on-one or as a group. We'll come alongside you. We have great coaches that come alongside you, or about being a part of our community. Membership does have its privileges. Join a community of entrepreneurs. We're about 5,500 plus and growing, from North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, and Africa, so that we can work together to collaborate and help you advance what God has called you to do. Again, visit us at nehemiahecommunity.com. Susan, one last question. Somebody's watching and listening, and they probably have not yet gotten the book. Well, first, before I ask my question, where did they get the book if they want to get a book? Where did they get the book?
And easiest way to get the book is on Amazon, although it's in Barnes and Nobles and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you have any, just write down the word fasttrackyourBigIdea.com, and you'll get the website that has all sorts of information about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Can they also, if they go to that website, from there, they can also get the book? Is there a link
But
there
yeah,
as well
that's
that
true
they
too.
can? Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can go to Amazon or go to fasttrackyourBigIdea.com. So I'm watching a list. I'm excited about this idea. So people, the world see Americans as these risk takers, right? These cowboys.
Yeah.
Americans love risk, So speak to us a bit. So somebody's saying, but Susan, this is American. You're an American trying to promote this American idea out there. So what would you say to that? And if I'm not this American cowboy, what's the first step I should do right now to really embrace this idea with my organization? So first, speak to those who think this is American Susan trying to sell Americanism to the world, right? And secondly, speak to some of us who are hesitant because of culture, history, whatever the case might be, and you saying here's this 1, 2, 3 step to just walk this thing out.
Well, it is interesting because most of my learnings about launching have taken place in global settings, right, with global companies. So any idea that we came up with was always with the intention of taking it around the world. And in there were so many lessons and humbling moments of recognizing that there are differences in every market that you go to, right? So in that sense, I laugh. Yes, I am Susan American cheerleader, but I think it's somewhat interesting that a cheerleader type rah-rah is writing about risk, because not everything goes well. and it's from there that I've learned what we can do to avoid it. So take those cowboy American lessons. I was born in Texas, by the way, so it really is.
Oh boy, even worse.
Now, the thing that is interesting is I have taken the people who read the book and who helped me edit it were from all over the world. And I often was asking that question, what about this isn't relevant? And I was always humbled that they said, oh, it's 100% relevant. And I will say that one of the reasons is because the first thing, it's grounded in people. It's grounded in recognizing who you serve. So it isn't, my approach is not to impose a certain way, is to impose a set of questions that guide you to listen and recognize those around you that you want to take risk with you, and recognize your own risk profile and where you're coming from. So, it's funny because everyone has a different risk fingerprint, and even cultures have different risk fingerprints, right? So we think of Americans as super risk takers. We think of, I worked in a German company, very typically more cautious. But then when you blend your family's risk profile, your company's risk profile together, you always have this range of people who either have an eagerness to engage in risk, or a hesitancy, or an awareness of risk or lack. And that idea of recognizing God made us very different. I don't care what group you put together from wherever they are in the world. You sit them in a room and you say, where are we all coming from? What do we want to accomplish? And where do you see the risk? You'll see a variety of personalities and perspectives, and just that listening step to recognize it's the people side of risk, whoever the people are you want to serve, that will absolutely make or break the success of your big idea.
Oh, that is so good. With that in mind, just a quick follow-up, women versus male.
Oh,
risk profile. Could you elaborate?
There's been a lot of research on that. I've been encouraged to write another monograph that's specifically for women. A lot of women it depends on what the consequences are. You hear all the time about women pulling their kid from a burning car, or going out of a country to save their child from war, right? If there's consequences and you have purpose, all of us take similar risks, are willing to take more risk, right?
I
But
think
actually,
women probably even more than men when it comes to
right,
the
exactly.
purpose
But
things.
when they're very, very clear on their
Yeah,
convictions. So
yeah.
we're actually seeing that women, especially in the purpose-led model, women who have a very strong clarity about what the problem they're trying to solve and the urgency to solve it are actually much more likely to step up and take risks. But they also, because they tend to also think about the system, they're system thinkers a lot. How does the household work? How does the whole family work? They tend to think through consequences beyond the moment, where some men are very, very strict. And again, good. Next book. Let me get me the research going.
I
But
love it.
I think we all come into it with recognizing that if we are called for a time such as this to lead, that clarifying the problem that we're here to solve, clarifying the urgency and the consequences of not solving it, can help all of us be more grounded in our risk taking, whether we're men or women or from anywhere in the world.
You heard it here, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Susan. Listen, if you want to know about Susan, visit her at fasttrackyourBigIdea.com and you'll learn about the book. You can also get the book at Amazon or a bookstore near you. Sign up for the summit at 2026.nehemiahbusinesssummit.com. Susan and I will be there. We'll MC day one and we'll be speaking day two. Listen, I want to pray for you now. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord enable you to steward those talents that are under your care, despite the risks. De-risk it. Steward in such a way that one day you'll hear those wonderful words, well done, good and faithful servant. Listen, you've been faithful over a few things. Guess what? He'll not make you rule much. God bless you. Thanks for watching and listening. Susan, thank you so much. God bless.
Look forward to the summit too. Thank you so much today. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.